Let's talk about why do founders overwork but still feel stuck? Let me ask you this. You're working 14 hours a day. You're in back to back meetings. You're putting out fires, closing deals, managing your team. And yet, at the end of the day, you look at your business and think, did we actually move forward? Because here's the thing nobody talks about. Most founders aren't stuck because they're not working hard enough. They're stuck because they're working on everything except the thing that actually matters. Well, I've worked with some of the biggest names in this country. I have seen founders scale from 0 to 8 figures. And I have also seen brilliant people burn out while their business stays exactly the same for 3 years straight. And there's always a pattern. Trust me, there's always a pattern. And also, MIT did this study on over 300 startups that I read about, and they found something really wild. The founders who worked the most number of hours weren't the ones who grew the fastest. In fact, there was almost no correlation between hours worked and company growth after a certain threshold. But here's what did correlate: time spent on what they called strategic work versus reactive work. And what about most of the founders? Well, they're spending less than 15% of the time on strategic work. Let me paint you a picture. You wake up, you check your phone. There's already 47 messages, 3 client emergencies. Your team needs decisions on 5 different things. You jump right into it because that's what founders do, right? We solve problems, we move fast. And by 10 a.m., you've already had 4 conversations, approved 2 designs, rejected a proposal, and you feel productive because you're doing things right. But none of these things moved your business forward. None of them. You just maintained it. You kept the machine running, and there's a massive difference between maintaining and building. So, when I say this, I mention it because I know how all of this feels like, because I felt stuck at a point too. And then I had a quick conversation with the founder who had scaled 3 companies, and he had just asked me one question at that time: Kanishka, if you disappeared for 2 weeks right now, what would you break? And I started listing things. Client relationships would suffer, projects would stall, team wouldn't know what to prioritize. And he just nodded and said, right. So you haven't built a business. You've actually built a job that requires you to show up every single day or it falls apart. And that hit different because I thought I was being a good founder by being involved in everything, by being available, by being the person that everyone came to. But really, I was the bottleneck. I was the reason we couldn't scale. Not because I wasn't working hard enough, but because I was working in the business rather than working on it. And this is where the research gets really interesting after I read it. Harvard Business Review studied that successful CEOs what do they actually do with their time? And on an average, they spend 60% of the time on just these 3 activities: building the team, setting strategies, and managing stakeholder relationships. That's it. They're not in every meeting, they're not approving every decision, they're not the ones putting out most of the fires. But when you're in the thick of it and when you're grinding, I know it feels irresponsible to take a step back. It feels lazy to not be in the weeds. I get it. I've been there. You think, my team needs me, my clients expect me. If I'm not driving everything, who will? But here's the truth: your business doesn't need you to work harder, it needs you to work clearer. It needs you to know the difference between what's urgent and what's important, because these two are not the same thing. Urgent is the client email that just came in. Urgent is the team member who needs an immediate answer. Urgent is the problem that popped up today. Important is hiring the person who could take half of your workload. Important is building the system that prevents the same fire from happening again and again. Important is having the hard conversation with the client who drains all your energy but barely moves the revenue needle. And we keep choosing urgent every single time because it feels productive, it feels like progress. There's this concept called the busy trap, and Stanford researcher named Jeffrey talks about it. We equate being busy with being important, with being successful. So we pack our calendars, we wear the badge of exhaustion like honor, we brag about how little we sleep, and then we wonder why we burnt out and why our business hasn't grown. I started tracking my time. Every 30 minutes for 2 weeks, I wrote down what I did, and whether it was strategic or reactive. You know what I found? 11% strategic, only 11%. The rest was emails, quick calls, small decision, managing things, and everything that somebody else could have handled it. And I realized I needed to make a change. I blocked out 3 hours every Monday morning, non negotiable. No meetings, no Slack, just me and a notepad asking 3 questions. What's the one thing that would 10x our growth? What am I doing that someone else should be doing? What are we doing that we should stop doing completely? And for the first few weeks, it felt wrong. It felt selfish. I felt guilty. My team would ping me and I'd ignore because it was my strategic time. And you know what happened? They figured it out. They made decisions. They solved problems. Turns out they did not need me most of the time. They just needed permission to own the decision. And in those Monday morning sessions, I made decisions that actually changed our trajectory. I cut 2 service offerings that made money but drained our resources. I hired a person to handle operations. I started saying no to clients that weren't the right fit, even when the money was good. None of that felt productive in that moment. But 6 months later, we doubled our revenue. I was working, and I was also working few hours. Here's what nobody tells you about scaling. It's not about doing more. It's about doing less. Less meetings, less reactive work, less trying to be everywhere for everyone, and more space, more clarity, more ruthless focus on the things that actually compounded. There's this quote I think about a lot. Warren Buffett's pilot asked him how to prioritize his career goals. Buffett told him to write down his top 25 goals, circle the top 5, and then actively avoid the other 20. Not someday. Not when you have time, avoid them. Because those 20 will distract you from the 5 that actually matter. And that's what founders do it wrong. They serve every customer, they explore every opportunity, but it's not productive. But the best founders I know, they're not the ones doing the most. They're the ones who figured out what to ignore. So if you're feeling stuck right now, and if you're working your face off, but your business isn't moving, ask yourself this. What would happen if you stopped working for a week? What would break? And most importantly, what wouldn't? Because the things that wouldn't break, you probably don't need to be doing them. Just delegate them, just automate them, just delete them. And the things that would break, those are your system problems. Those are the places where you've made yourself the single point of failure. And you can't scale like that. You can't grow a business that depends on you being in the weeds every single day. Your job as a founder isn't to work the hardest. It's to make yourself increasingly unnecessary to the day to day things so that you can focus on the decisions that actually shape where this thing goes. That's it. That's the game. So stop wearing your overwork like a medal. Start protecting your time like it's the most valuable asset you have, because it is. Your energy, your attention, your ability to think clearly about future is what builds companies, not your ability to answer messages at 11 p.m. You already know how to work hard. Now learn how to work smart. Learn how to step back. Learn how to let go. Because the version of your business you actually want, it doesn't need you to do more. It needs you to think bigger. And if you think that this video was just preachy, trust me, for those who know me, know how much I used to work late at night, sleep just for 3 hours, not prioritize my health, just wanting to put out things, have my calendar filled with meetings, and not have time to think. But guess what? The moment I changed these certain things, the moment I set business systems, the moment I took that 6 months of my time stepping back from operations and actually giving time to set systems, today I can disappear from my business for 1 month and I know things would just be as they are. Nothing would hamper, be it client relationships, be it the work that's happening. And this is the difference I want to bring in founders' life. If you are a founder who's struggling with all of these things and want clarity and want your business to grow and don't know how to step back, this video was for you. But if you want more help, comment ATE or achieve the exceptional, because I help founders achieve the exceptional. And if you like the video, don't forget to like, share it with your founder friends who actually need it, and don't forget to subscribe and press the bell button to be notified for my upcoming videos. Thank you.